Ectosage here on the Sage channel at Sleep, Art, Game, and Eat, and the time has finally come to crash this big old ship that I am calling the Gladius. Now, if you want to see a tour of this ship, if you didn't see the first video, there should be a link in the top left corner. And if you have, or if you just want to see this big old huge ship crash, well, now's the time to watch. I'm going to accelerate forward and try to get some distance. That way we can... Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Oh, no. There's a big rock up there. I don't want to accidentally hit it. There we go. That should be good. I've pressed E, and now I'm pressing W again to rotate us out of the way. Because, of course, the back part of the ship here, the outer engines, bump down a bit. And, of course, they could easily hit this thing. And I don't want to crash it yet. I want to crash it when we're ready. So we should miss that. Wow, just. Okay, so now that we're out here, we're going to try to turn the ship around, and this ship is huge. If you look in the bottom right corner, you can see that I have 770 gyros. But if you look at the bottom right corner, you can also see the ship weighs an awful lot, which means this ship moves slow, incredibly slow. A lot of people said it could basically be a capital ship. The only reason I'm not calling it a capital ship is because there's not really any room inside for, well, all the stuff you would need to run an empire. But anyhow, I think we're about good. By the way, I'm not trying to turn anymore. This is just from the little mouse movements I made at the beginning. Also, this ship is so big it does drop one's frame rate, so I'm actually down to 12 frames a second. Whereas when I was inside, I got about 30, and that actually dropped every time I moved my camera to about 24. Now here we go. I'm trying to get us so we can start moving towards those little asteroids that are directly above the ship now. And then maybe turn the ship and crash into them in an interesting manner to tear the ship up, which should be a lot of fun. This ship, as I've said before, its idea is that it would jump in and begin shooting from a distance. This is also because if it got close to enemy ships, it would almost surely end up crashing into said enemy ships, since it doesn't really have the ability to maneuver quickly. Also, because even though I just shut off the inertial dampers, that doesn't stop it from trying to stop spinning. And of course you can see it is still spinning. I'm actually moving the mouse to the right now to attempt to slow it down, that way we can have a side impact on these asteroids here. If that's not that great, I will actually take the time to back the ship up and then crash it again at a higher speed. And I'm trying to get it, there we go. And actually I'm going to hold down the D key a bit to try to get a bit more speed, which isn't going to be much. If you look in the bottom right, you can see the speed very slowly increasing. I'm attempting to angle the ship up now for a very good impact, and I suspect this won't actually be the most impressive, but it should be something. And then, as I said before, I will line the ship back up and try another hit. And apparently I am now overshooting it somehow, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm actually want to get really close, gonna kill the power, that way the ship will go completely ballistic. Instead of just having the inertial dampeners off, it'll actually spin and twist around as it hits things, which should create a pretty interesting shot. 3, 2, there we go, hit. And of course, it hitting there, rotate the ship around. We have an impact at the top left there. The ship now swings about because of the way it's impacted, and we should see the front part hitting the large asteroid in a minute. As it swings about, I believe these small asteroids at the bottom might be doing some more damage, and oh god, no, there we go, we've now hit the large asteroid up there, and actually it looks like it might be going straight through the ship, which means the system is chugging a fair bit, and it's not calculating all the damage. No, it looks like it actually did some damage. Okay, now we're going to bring everything back online, including the inertial dampers. Now we're going to do full engines forward, and that should swing us about some more, and I'm going to try to aim down, which will bring the back of the ship up, and now I'm going to kill everything again, and it should... Actually, it didn't do what I thought. I thought it would swing the back of the ship up and hit that other asteroid. Oh, wait, nope, there it goes. Apparently it just took a second, or the ship's so big it's hard to tell motion. I guess in maybe an ideal world, I would have had maybe something like 2,000 gyroscopes, which I could still probably shove in there. Because this ship turns super slow even if I want to turn it. And now it is drifting right now, but still, even when I try to turn it, it's finicky. Now, our frame rate now is dropping to about 10 every now and again. So you can see that the game is chugging, but remember, this is very early alpha. So now we're actually going to turn on our systems again. I said that again. There we go. And I'm going to hold C and try to get the ship out of here. I'm going to try to reposition it for another impact, and then probably cut to that. Oh, look there at that opening there. You can actually see into the main fuel storage area and all the conveyors connecting everything. At the top there, you can see some of the gyroscopes. So we're still at 720, but I think we lost a few. If we look down here at this big opening here, the main thing it looks like it just took out some of the turrets, but nothing else. And actually, this little asteroid there is the reason why I'm not able to get free, because I'm holding C, and as I go down, I hit this little bugger, which stops me. So now I'm going to try holding a bit of A, and dang, I seem to be stuck in here. That is not good. I've managed to get the ship stuck. I guess if I swing the front of it to the left, and then do, whoa, you see that asteroid at the top left there? I have lost a lot of gyroscopes. Holy hell. I just lost 10 since I checked it last. Wow, so that cleared out a huge area of my ship's gyroscopes. You can actually see another one floating in there if you look closely enough. Dang! Did not expect to lose all those. Let's hold A now and a bit of C to try to get free. I'm also holding Q at the same time to attempt to counter the roll that the ship seems to have entered into. And you see another asteroid over here is now impacting the center point between the hangars, doing a little bit of damage there. Dang. Okay, ship. Please respond. Stop spinning. I'm going to move the mouse to the right now to try to counter the spin that we've entered into. That seems to have done it. Holding A and C now. Bit of Q again. I'm trying to get free all these dang asteroids. Oh, Jesus. That's the problem with bigger ships. You don't want to ever get near things like this in reality, unless you're wanting to crash the ship. But otherwise, you want to stay as far away as you can, because they do not handle well. They can get snagged on things, and especially if they're asteroids or stations, which in the current game are not movable, you're going to get snagged on them. And because they can't be moved, you can't just push them out of the way. You end up in a world of hurt. Now you can see up here at the front of the ship we have some more damage. I can get the camera to zoom out. There we go. Nothing serious. We lost 2 weapons platforms there, but nothing really else. Yeah, okay. I'm going to back the ship up now, line it up, and do a really big crash into something at a high speed. Okay, so there we go. I got the ship lined up with what I think will be a decent impact, especially if I get up to the super fast speeds and then kill the engines. The only problem with this is currently that I can't really tell if the ship's still moving. I don't think it is. There's always that possibility that it is still rotating in some way, shape, or form, and because it's so big I can't actually tell. Which means by the time I back up to wherever I think I need to be backed up to get the massive amount of speed, which I'm shooting for 104 meters per second, which is currently the maximum speed anything can go in this game, well, I might have drifted a bit off target. So let's just, cross our fingers, cross our toes, and hope to God we don't drift off course while we reverse, which it looks like we might be a bit, but we'll find out when we floor it forward. I've actually just tried to course correct a tiny bit. That might have been a mistake. It would be nice if there was some sort of UI system that actually told you which direction the ship was turning in, the amount of direction it would probably turn before it automatically stops. That way, if you're moving the mouse the other direction to try to stop it, you can get an idea of how much you actually have to move the mouse the other direction to stop it at the point you want. Because this ship is so big, and because I only really, if I can get the camera at the front, have about those 2 engines there, and then there's 2 actually hidden behind them, and then the same down there, so 8 engines at the front of the ship, it takes ages to reverse, which, even though I've been cutting through this, it's actually been a good, 5 or 6 minutes of me sitting here, and I'm figuring once I get to 50 meters per second in reverse, that'll mean I've gotten far enough away that these big, huge engines at the back of the ship for going forward will be able to get us going at least 104 meters per second before our impact. I actually shot over it. Let's now release S. The engine's auto fire to stop us. It looks like we just drifted a bit, which is terrifying. But I can't actually see anything. I can't actually see our targets at all, which is strange. But now we're just going to give it full throttle forward. You can see we're accelerating really quickly now. Really quickly. Okay, now I'm starting to see our targets in front of us again. It looks like we have drifted downwards a bit, but I can't confirm that from this distance. It looks sort of bad, but I can't really get a good fix on it. It does look like we're going to miss it from here. Yeah, so I'm going to try to course correction really quickly, up and to the left a bit. This should mean we're actually going to be drifting a bit to sort of the way we're flying, but also to the right, since we already had some speed built up in the other direction. I'm attempting to correct our course. You can see some damage sparks at the top, middle there. That was probably one of the gyroscopes that was loose now flew through the ship, or at least flew into something inside of the ship. Again, I'm doing some course corrections here. It looks like we're actually drifting downwards. I'm thinking maybe that would actually be because maybe we're actually, having impact with some of the small stuff inside the ship. Now, at this point, I think we're good enough. I'm going to kill the reactors, and I can't see the front of the ship. I'm going to try to turn us into it, and that is going to be a hit. Turn. There we go. Oh no, now we're going to miss it apparently. Brilliant. Let's just try turning to the left, and the side of the ship should impact it. I think. Or is this just going to be a complete and utter miss? Oh! Yeah, there's an impact. Not much. Frame rate has died down to 2. Again, this game is in very early alpha. Okay, my frame is freaking out. Okay, now the ship is spinning into this because of the impact. The camera's actually been pushed inside the control room. And I'm actually going to fire the engines right now. Whoa! That was a quick spin. And you see it's sort of glitching through some areas, not doing damage, and then suddenly doing the damage because the game is chugging like crazy right now. It is extremely low frame rate. I cannot stress this enough. The game is currently in very early alpha. It doesn't have 64-bit version yet, which means its memory is limited and a lot of other things. But my god, is it a cool game still. So you can see we've smashed open, well, a whole lot of stuff actually. I'm going to turn on inertial dampeners to try to stop the ship from spinning out of control. And it's still spinning wildly. Again, inertial dampeners don't actually stop spin, they stop movement. But the system should automatically try to stop spin, but it is not. I'm not pressing anything. The only button I was pressing there was Q to try to stop it from spinning this way, and it's still going around. You can see we've lost some more of our gyroscopes, which allow us to turn. And actually, if you look at our gyroscope count, we started at over 700, we're down to 518, so we've lost a fair few. And the system is indeed still chugging while it's ripping through the ship right here. Wow. I'm actually going to get out of the control cockpit right now. There we go. And the ship is shaking. You can see we have some damage over here. If I turn this on and float, you can actually see the ship's moving towards, maybe is the way it's rotating about very slowly here. So here's that pinch damage, but if we look, oh, I saw a spark over there. If we look over here, the control room has actually been torn into, and you can see the damage out here. We have the assortment of gyroscopes on this wall, but of course there were some on the other wall, which is now completely gone. As we get close to that, our frame rate dies. It could be that the ship is now impacting in another way. Up here, you can see we've been torn into. We've lost some of our engines that were to go down. We still got, looks like, a few left here. Lost some over there on the other side. Lost some engines there, engines up there. We've lost a lot of stuff back here. The fuel storage itself, oh, I was about to say it was intact, but nope, we took a hit up here and that tore out a few fuel storage containers. What else do we have? More gyroscopes, a lot more actually, just completely missing up here. Wow, actually, yeah, big time hit right here and actually took out the ones on that far wall as well as this whole wall that was right there. Small impact opening here. Let's fly down the ship a bit. And you can see down into here, into the bowels of the ship, into some of the crawl spaces. This rock is still sitting here. Very wonderful damage. Luckily, we still have our artificial gravity generator, which has somehow actually been pushed into a block. Very strange. I haven't actually seen that before. This might actually be some sort of glitch, or it might be counting as this block has taken damage. And, you know, most blocks, when they take damage, here we go, this is a good example, they skew like this. Because this block might not be able to deform, the actual block might have moved to sort of imitate where the top of it would be pushed or deformed into. So that's probably why that's like that if I was to take a guess. Down here we got some more damage to the ship. If we fly out, I don't think we're actually going to see anything new. We're still got the damage from down here earlier, damage up here to the turret section. right up here. I was hoping, you know, with this pass to have done some damage to the front of the ship, but of course I managed to somehow miss that. But again, it's a huge ship. They're very hard to control. And it's funny looking about, you see these little gyroscopes floating about everywhere. I think that's one of them way out there, another one there, right there. It's pretty damn cool to see that stuff floating away. Let's fly back down into the bridge and actually just try to move the ship away from this asteroid. And hopefully, oof, if I don't bump into absolutely everything, we will be able to see some more damage. And actually, maybe I won't. Maybe I won't just move it away. Maybe I will give it thrusters full and try to floor it forwards, and lag and all, that'll actually do some more damage, rip through more of the ship. The frame rate is dying terribly. It's jumping between 2 and about 10, and maybe a little bit higher actually. Nope, 4. Yeah, the frame rate is all over the place. This is a big ship crash, and there's a lot of components in there being torn up as I move, so it's got a lot of stuff that's trying to calculate, which it really speaks to how cool it is that you can destroy all this in an alpha build of the game. I mean, imagine how this will be once it gets into beta, once they get the 64-bit system running. Imagine how great it'll be once they get multiplayer in, and this damage won't be being done by me trying to crash the ship on my own. It'll be being done by maybe another one of these large battleships, these battle destroyers, crashing into each other or just bombarding each other from a distance. It will be very, very cool. Unfortunately right now though, I seem to be sort of stuck. I'm actually going to release those engines I was firing, and I'm going to hold D now just to try to back us away from this damaging asteroid that we seem to be snagged on. Of course, also they're talking about a blueprint system coming into the game somewhat soon. Recently they did a poll. I'm not sure if the poll is still open. If it is, I urge you all to go vote for a 64-bit build of the game. That way I can continue building, but of course that's just me asking you to vote for what you want to see next, and one of those things is multiplayer, of course, but the thing I'm also very interested in is blueprints, which means instead of the Steam Workshop just being your level, it would be a blueprint which you can load into the game, sort of press K, blueprints, and then I think it'll have two options. Probably in creative mode, I'd assume when you say place blueprint, it would just place the whole ship there pre-built, but if you're in non-creative mode, normal survival mode, which is another thing they're working on, which is another thing you could vote on, it would just place down the schematic sort of metal outline of the ship, and you'd have to actually go build each piece of the ship bit by bit, which would be very cool as well. And actually looking at this ship, we nearly actually broke it in half. There's only a few spots left holding it together. Now, that could have been pretty insane actually if we had lost part of the ship like that. And actually, I think I'm going to back it up and try to hit it again in such a way that might actually break it in two. There we go. I think we're lined up pretty well now. We can start trying to burst into it. That way the asteroid will smack into this other side of the ship where the last few sort of remaining supports are. And then we'll end up with a large free-floating front of the ship, which is not that badly damaged, and a pretty damn badly damaged back part of the ship with the engines. Probably no control panels, considering where we're cutting through is pretty much going through the bridge. Now, I'm trying to actually go up, to the right, and also rotate the ship counterclockwise. That way, we'll hit dead on the side of where we want to hit. Maybe give us a bit of an S, or W to go forward a bit. There we go. Hopefully that won't be too much. And that actually looks pretty damn good. Another thing, if I didn't just mention this, with the blueprint system, would be nice with the, I could bring in other ships like the Guillotine to cut ships in half and, whoa, demonstrate their damaging abilities and whatnot, which would be very, very cool to be able to have this big ship maybe when I build my other capital ship or finish my other capital ship, which is a legitimate capital ship. Loads of rooms, lots of stuff, lots of crashes because of its size and scale. Hopefully that ship will, wow, I'm sorry about this frame rate. It's really quite bad. But hopefully that ship will, I can beam in this ship into that map and then impact the two together, bring in the Guillotine, a lot of really cool stuff. The frame rate is dying right now. I'm actually gonna just cut ahead until it sort of settles down. I doubt you're gonna be able to see much until then. Stabilize, we're floating away from it a bit. That actually didn't break us in half really any more than it already had, maybe a tiny bit. What it has done is made one heck of a view from the control room. You see some bits of the ship floating away. I think there's another gyroscope up there. So yeah, the control room completely and utterly breached and damaged and exposed. What else do we have? If we come down this way into the ship now, the main hallway is still secure. So most of the ship is still good. Up here leading to sort of the control room, or the area of higher ranking officials. So we got some damage up here. It's been torn right on open. In here we got some more damage. I believe this, nope, this is just storage. Or actually that might have, but yeah, that was one of the higher ranking officials' sleeping areas, so it's toast. Everything on the left side seems to be fine, but the right side has taken some damage. The storage looks fine, which means this crew quarter over here should be fine. Yep. That'll be fine. Everything over there will be fine, and I've run into a turret. But yeah, some serious damage right here. Pretty damn cool, though. Oh, nope, didn't mean to turn off initial dampers. I meant to turn on my jetpack. So you can see the ship's been torn open, even more than it already was. Still hasn't been separated. I think I'll actually, at this point, just for end of this, just go through here and let's turn off this mirror thing. And for a second I thought I was drifting backwards. No, that's the ship drifting away from me still. It's sort of rotating is what it's doing. And I'm actually going to cut through here and separate it into two ships, which should be pretty interesting. We'll know that we've successfully separated it when we get a big burst of momentary lag. So I'm cutting through all this. This should be like the last few pieces over here, and I'll have to put another control room down for it. So, there it goes. That was it. Whoa! And now you can see the front half of the ship is now free floating. It's got three gyros there that'll very, very slowly try to stop its spin, which I doubt they'll ever really do. You can see the control room's freely floating away. Now the emergency control room I just cut off too. It was that little tiny box up there. What else do we have? I think that's about it. I guess the thing to do now is to grab this bit of rubbish and just crash it into the rest of the ship. Something that's very fun to do, the idea of crashing the back half of the ship into the front half, or the back, what is this, the back eighth of the ship into the rest. Let's see, what do we need here? There we go, grab you, we can just plop you down in here. Frame rate issues and all. Of course, I don't have my mouse properly set up for this for some dang reason. There we go. And hop into this, and now we can, this thing will accelerate super quick and should handle, yeah, pretty quick. Because compared to what it was a second ago, it is nothing. It's got no reverse on it. But anyway, here we go. This will be a good hit at the angle it is too. It'll do some serious damage. Oh, right, and of course, because I wasn't thinking, I put the bridge, holy hell, at the front of the ship, which means it was instantly destroyed on impact, and this is a lot of chaos going on right now. Holy hell. Having a bit of trouble comprehending. Okay, so this is the fuel storage of the back half of the ship. We were pushed into a crawl space of the front half of the ship and did some really serious damage. You can see some more sparks. It was really cool actually at that angle, seeing all those little particle effect sort of things of those flat images of metal coming at us. And actually, we hit it at a pretty good speed. Now the whole thing seems to be flying away from us. And actually, I think did we sever the ship in two? Surely not. It's really hard to tell at this angle, but no, I don't think we did. No, we didn't. What's happening, which was throwing me off, is the back half of the ship is actually rotating, so the side of it is now hitting the front half of the ship. And I'm trying to fly about and actually get into this hangar bay over here. That way I can board the ship and then run back and see the damage from the inside. And actually it's still doing more damage as that side of the ship hits it. So I'm getting here, I pressed the wrong button, disable that. My controls aren't responding. We might be about to see a crash here. Yeah, my controls are not responding. I'm attempting to shut my jetpack off, but to no avail. Apparently I can still turn on my thrust